Hello and welcome back to Pantheon of the Geeks. You join us for an unboxing video today. Today we're going to be unboxing the, well, this is for bolt action, it's Warlord's British 8th Army bolt action starter sets. We have some other things here to unbox. We're going to be doing it all today. There's a Legends of Great Britain Flying Officer, which was a special edition. We got that in Nottingham when we did, actually. Warlord. We've got the British Army HQ. I also have a random sprue which I got off the front of a magazine. I think it was it War Games Illustrated? War Games Illustrated, yep. Yes. So that should be the same sprues that are in here, I think. And then I've also got a A12 Matilda 2 tank. And the reason behind all of this is I'm basically building these Warlord miniatures for Chain of Command, which is something I'll review in a future video. I want to go through the rules for Chain of Command and everything, as I am with some of the other toofatlardies products. Mm-hmm. But for this video we're just going to build an army for Chain of Command, because for Infamy and Sharp Practice I've already got the armies built. So I thought it might be interesting to see how I build this. I also wanted to build this anyway, because I do want to play it in bolt action. And I've had these for ages and they've just been sat in a box, and I've now got sick of looking at the pile of shame, and it's going to be built. So then at least there's a chance that I'll paint it. And I can play in Chain of Command, which is really good. So this is obviously the British 8th Army, and in the Chain of Command book there are rules for like a standard, I would say like 1942 to 43 sort of armies when you look at them. It seems to be later in the war, but you do have infantry platoons for the British, mortar platoons, everything. And you could use one of those, there's no problem at all. You could just use one of those and modify it and then just play in the desert. But they do actually have online, and the print of this is really bad because the ink's about to run out, but there is you can download a British in North Africa 1940 to 1941 army list, which is this here, and I'm going to be using that to base what I'm building on. So when I build the units for this, it'll be based on the Chain of Command, not on a regular bolt action platoon and stuff like that. So I'm just going to see what I can get out of it building it this way. If I do need to buy extra to go into a bolt action game, I'll do that, but hopefully it'll cover both. A couple of things that aren't on here, looking through it, are the artillery pieces which are in this. However, there are rules in the main book for British artillery. Have I actually opened it on the right page straight away? Amazing. So there's a 17 pounder, which I presume also covers a 25 pounder as far as points goes, and there is a 6 pounder which also comes in here. So that's what we're going to be building out of this, because these exist in this box. And actually there are rules in the arsenal table for these as well in the Chain of Command book. So you have a 17 and a 25 pound. Even though 25 is not in the list, I think it's the same price. There's a 17 because it's effectively similar but different stats if you look at it. Don't quote me on that, but that's the way I'm going to use it, basically. Right. So when you're building an army for Chain of Command, you have these little sections here, and I apologise if you can't see that very well. But we have a platoon headquarters, including a lieutenant, senior leader with pistol, a sergeant, senior leader with SMG, and then you have a 2-inch mortar with that, and a Boise AT rifle. Yep. That makes up the command section, and then we have 1 to 3 sections. Sections 1 to 3, should I say. It's not optional, there are 3 sections, just section 1. This would be one section out of the 3, which consists of a corporal with a Thompson SMG or a rifle, your choice. And it has 2 teams, an rifle team with 6 men and an LMG team with 3 men and a Bren gun. And that's how they're built up. So each section should say is 10 men, 1 corporal, then a team with 3 and a team with 6. So hopefully there'll be enough guys, especially with the extra sprue, to cover all this. But we'll see what's on the sprues when we open it up. So that's what we're building. So when I start moving them into weird units, it doesn't look like bolt action, that's why. and this is what we're going to use to do it. So hopefully I can use these as the leaders, and we'll see where we go on really, because obviously I haven't built an army for chain of command yet. So there we go. So we'll start by unboxing the big starter set for the 8th Army. Okay, so I'm thinking, are these the same sprues? Bolt Action 8th Army Desert Rats. Is that the same?
Bolt Action 8th Army Desert Rats, yes.
Yeah, so they are the same sprues. So we should have, so that's an extra sprue. So in the box we've got one. We have two of those. I think they're carriers.
Looks like it. Let's see what it says what's on them.
We have 2 sprues, 1 sprue, 4 sprue, 5 sprue, 6 sprue. We have some large bases. We have some 25mm bases with some oval bases. We've got some metals. Let's get that out as well. We have a lot of transfers, 2 sheets worth. I think they're identical. They'll be for the universal carriers, which is what Claire's got hold of there.
Yeah, it doesn't say on the sprues what they are, but...
Yeah, but fortunately there's a
oh, that's handy.
there's a universal carrier card, which sounds like something you'd have. I've got the universal carrier card. Sounds like a credit card from the 80s. We've got a British 8th medium mortar team set. We've got a British 8th 6-pounder gun. We've got the British 8th Universal Carrier Passengers box. So the box set. But there we go. What's going on there? Got some more of those large bases. We have a British 8th Vickers MMG box set. And we have, I think this will be the 25-pounder/17-pounder. I think the 2 guns are very similar looking. I think they can be interchanged at this scale anyway. And we also have a random bayonet, which looks like it's broken off the end of a gun, so we'll keep that to one side in case we need it. We also have instructions to build the universal carrier, and instructions to build the British 8th Army. So, anything else in there? Nope.
Nope.
Good. We'll keep all of the box.
Put it down here for
Use
you.
it for storage for now, until I get a proper box one. Okay, so we have lots of the same sprue and an additional sprue. I think we had 7, did I say?
I think we did.
So 7 in total with the extra sprue. So now we have to figure out, we need command section first, which is lieutenant, senior leader with pistol. So we should have a look in this. See what we can get out of the HQ section.
Out of the way for you.
Yeah. So we have a radio operator with monkey. We have the perfect British commander with a pipe and a mug of tea. And we have this guy who's also some sort of orderly. I don't know what he's doing next. And we have a guy with a SMG, by the looks of it. Oh, is that Thompson? It's Thompson. Okay. So one of the things in chain of command is when you're basing your leaders, I do recommend you put on slightly larger bases. However, I won't be able to put it on normal size bases and then struggling during the game to figure out who's who. I'd much rather do that. So this guy will be my lieutenant for this terms, and this guy can easily be the sergeant because he has what is effectively an SMG, a Thompson machine gun. I was saying that the Corporal come with Thompson SMGs or rifles. Yeah, so it's Thompson SMG then, that's fine. So these two are definitely going to make it into the army. We also have at this point a radio operator, like I said. I presume, is this like a medical orderly? Is that like a stretcher he's got folded up? I think it is. It does look a lot like a stretcher that is like folded. So a medical orderly is a support option. So that would be quite good actually, if that was the case. There's also various support options that you can have, like engineers, etc. I'm going to see if there's a way I can fit these guys in, but for now we'll leave them to one side, until I'm sure. But these two will be part of the main force, that's great. And all they're doing is sticking to their bases. You right?
Yeah, I found the gun that was broken.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it just, yeah, the bayonet's just come off the end, so it just needs a spot of plastic glue and it should go back on.
So we'll focus on getting the main force together first. The Matilda is going to be is a support option anyway, so we can do that last. So what we need to do is make sure we've got 3 teams with Bren guns and a lot of people with rifles. So the Bren gun on here should be somewhere as a right arm Bren gun magazine 6. So what we're looking for is a Bren gun on here. I think the Bren gun. Where is it? I think there's 2 on here. I'm sure there's 2 on here. Let's try a visual inspection. I'm sure these are Bren guns. Actually. So they're together, are they? On the sprue. So part 14 and part 17 is a right arm finder gun and a right arm finder Bren gun prone. Yes. So the Bren guns are these bad boys here. So there's 2 of those per sprue, which means there's plenty of Bren guns to go around. So I can either have them stood up or on the ground. So I could either have them prone, firing the Bren gun on one of those long bases, or have them stood up, just firing the Bren gun normally. I've got plenty of options to do both. It's just a choice of which one I want to do. And we also need a Boy 80 rifle, which is, I'm sure is that thing there, which is part 31. It's an anti-tank rifle, yep, that's the Boy anti-tank rifle, well, or at least it will be. Yeah, I need one of those, definitely. I need the Mortar Crew, which is that a Mortar Crew? No, it's passengers for the Universal. Vickers is there. Yeah, so I need the Mortar Crew there, and a guy off here. And this guy, I think that's a prone arm, so the anti-tank rifle with 2 crew will be this guy, who's prone, so I'll need a base for that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clip off all the parts I need to make the HQ section, and then we'll come back and put it together. Okay, so for the HQ section, these are all the parts we need. We have plastic parts and metal parts. I'll stick the plastic guys together first. So we have body and leg. This first part. And these are numbered on the actual. There we go. That goes on that. These are numbered on the actual additional sheet as opposed to the sprues. Far back as I can onto one of these elongated bases. And we want to put on the rifle arm, and there's also a left arm that goes with that. Oh, there we go. Wouldn't normally stick into the base equip, I've got all loads of glue on now. So let's just put that on there. The sprue also comes with 4 types of heads. Claire's going to tell you what they are.
Am I?
That's what I struggle with it.
That was funny. Let me just have a look at the...
Yep,
right, so...
definitely should have stuck to the base.
Oh. So you get Punjabi, Muslim and Yusufazi heads. You get Scottish Tam O'Shanter heads, tin helmets and Sheik heads. And I've probably murdered all of those names because I'm rubbish.
I think you got tin right.
I got tin right, yeah.
There we go, that's better. A bit of fresh glue on there. Okay. So we're going with the tin heads basically for now. I might do one of the teams as the Scottish Tam O'Shanter heads.
There you go, that's how you say it. Not my version.
I might do one. Just to make them different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think historically they would have been so... I think each unit would have been pretty much singular. I think diverse was the word I was going for.
Diverse.
Especially on the scale of battles that we're talking about, where are just like small sections and stuff. So we've put like a pretty standard backpack on there. All the Desert Rat sprues seem to have that on. Does look pretty cool, do like it. Then we're going with the kneeling guy. Kneeling guy.
Is he called Neil?
It's called Neil. So put on him in a loading gun position. He's getting ready. And I'm just going to go with Rumpy Face.
Because he's not had his bacon butty.
He's not had his tea. He's not had his Yorkshire tea. And we'll go with a pack. It's got a little bit extra on. I suppose he's not a sniper guy, but I suppose he's a bit like a spotter. I don't know. Whether anti-tank guys
Kind of look out for him.
had those definitely. Or he's just like a guy who's making sure no one shoots him in the back.
Yeah. Looking after his mate.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you're picking up bioparts to try. Always let things dry. Don't brush it like I'm trying to. The faster you try and go, the more chance you get glue stuck all over everything. Get on there. He was quite happy before. Right.
And still you're faffing with him.
Yeah, because he won't stay still, grumpy git. There you go. Problem solved. Right. What I was going to do is put some of these little sandbags that we got on. There's not a lot of room left on that base.
What about the singular ones? Will they not fit on, or...?
Possibly. I'm going to put some on the mortar base anyway. So with the mortar and with the metal models, some stuff I need to take off that. Missed that. Got some manga comic where he's got a little leaping thing coming up from his foot. There we go. This will be the Corporal. There's Sergeant and Lieutenant, sorry. So we'll get them stuck on with some super glue. And then we have the Mortar Crew, which is basically these three guys and a 2-part mortar. Pretty self-explanatory. Obviously the mortar goes tilted forward like that because you're shooting it towards the enemy, hopefully. So we'll put that on there. I'm going to see if we can get some sandbags on here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these on rather than do it on camera because it's just me gluing one bit to another. And we'll come back and have a look at what the command section looks like. So that's our command platoon finished. Pretty straightforward, stick together. I also put all the sandbags along the front and just stacked them up, make it look a bit more like a big wall. Looks alright to me.
Looks
so
really
far,
good.
So good.
Ooh.
So now we'll move on to the sections. There'll be 3 sections the same. I won't show them all on camera. We'll just do one section on camera. So basically what I'm going to do now is just cut off all the parts that we need and I can show you what we need for the different teams. So we'll be back in a second. Okay, so here we have the parts we're going to use for the Corporal. Take a bit of a liberty and give him a cap. You know, he's kind of an officer, sort of. It's just to keep him different, and then if you use him in ball action, you can also use him as a sergeant. So that's fine, honestly. So this is the parts I'm using for that. And then we've got the brand gun, so we're going to use a lying down body for that. And we've got the lay frame there, and the body from before, and everything. And then we have, to make up the rest of the LMG team, we have 2 more guys, but just with rifles. So I'm going to stick these guys together. They go together exactly the same as previous guys. So just to show you, put this guy together. Do the arms first. Nice. It's always a bit of a faff when you try to get them to hold an arm. Come with 2 arms. There we go. Let's get the backpack on. If you're doing these in bulk, which probably are if you've, I'll retrieve that in a second, these on. It's always better to like stick all the arms and bodies together and then stick all the heads, get them onto the bases, do in bulk. It's a bit of a time saver trying to do them individually. So there we go, so that's just a rifleman. So once that's dry I'll stick them to the base. I may as well stick the rest together. It's just the same process, there's nothing overcomplicated about these. So I'll go ahead and finish this off. Okay, so we have the LMG team there, and we have the Corporal there, ready to go. Now we need to see the rifle section, which is just 6 guys, 6 heads, 6 guns, either with the 2 arms or either with the 2 arms, or they've got the arms together. They just need to go together and get on the bases. For anyone that's yelling at me when I was putting the mortar together, saying that's not a 2-inch mortar, you're quite right, it's not a 2-inch mortar. This bad boy is the 3-inch mortar. I have realised my mistake now when I was going through the British 8th Army list of weapons and stuff on there, and then I noticed this guy on the end. He has a 2-inch mortar, and there's a 2-inch mortar on the sprue. So for continuity purposes, and because there should only be 2 guys in the team, and there's 3 obviously in that one, I will put together using 2 of the flat bodies and the mortar. I should put together a 2-inch mortar for the command team and do it correctly this time. However, I did notice a little error on the actual instructions. If you look at the picture of the mortar guy, he's actually got a mortar in his hand. This is part 5 when you look at it, because it's circular and it's got like a fin on the end, just like a mortar would have. However, when you look at the description of part 5, it is a right arm with SMG magazine, which obviously isn't. So that arm is actually that arm. The arm it says to go with it is just an empty version of that, so that's fine. So with the other guy, I've given him the empty arm, and the guy that's with him, as he's like extra crew, has actually got the mortar shot in his hand, like he's trying to assist, basically. And I've given him the other 42 arm, which is an arm waving, but it's probably like he's got his arm flat on the ground. So at least I can put them together. I might be able to fit some sandbags on the front of their bases as well. So I'm going to stick these guys together, I'm going to stick these guys together, and then I'll be back. Okay, so we have the rifle section done, which is just these 6 guys, all sort of in, I've used the ones that are mainly sort of running forward or in more motion with bayonets fixed, as opposed to the ones that be standing back with this team. But this is a section with the Corporal, LMG team and rifle team. And then we have the new, not improved, less improved, downgraded mortar for the command section. And we have the Boy Easy Rifle command section and the lieutenant and the sergeant. So yeah, these arms actually work better. The arm on the picture is a different one, like I said. This arm's holding on to the bottom of the mortar, and this, so that means that you can get a second guy and make it look like he's going to put the actual shell into the. It's a shell. Is it a shell mortar?
I think it is. Yeah.
Whatever it is, the grenade shell, whatever it is, into the actual mortar. So it actually works better. Plus, I managed to get some of the sandbags on there. So that is the HQ and 1 section together. So now I need to make 2 more sections. So I'll be back once that's done, and then you can see what a basic force would look like. Okay, so here is our sort of starter army, if you will. It's the HQ section and the 3 sections, which are all the same. So this would be where you begin with an army, and then you would add on your support options. One of the support options we've already seen, which is this bad boy, which is the 3-inch mortar. That comes in at 4 points if you're adding it onto your force. Just for reference, this force actually starts at -1 point, so regular force starting at -1. And this is how you balance it out in Chain of Command. I'll probably explain more in a future video, but this would be a -1 force. So that would mean when you go into the battle, you'd have at least 1 point spent plus whatever you've rolled, or whatever it is in that scenario. And if the enemy is the attacker, you'll be able to like spend points up to theirs to even it out. So the next thing we'll do is, just before we move on, to build this, I did use parts from that 7th extra sprue. Not many parts, it was just extra rifles, and I didn't need to use them, it was just the configuration I had. So if you were happy with some of them having the rifles slung on the shoulders with like extra bits and built other ways, you could just make that from the starter set, but you would have to be a bit more interesting with the arm selections, if you will, to make them all fit on. So I did use some extra rounds, but I do have all the bodies and all the other weapons and heads and everything, and there are actually 2 kneeling bodies left from the sprue too. So I'll probably use them to maybe make engineering groups or something like that for add-ons. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is the universal carriers that came in the starter set. There's 2 universal carriers. I was currently cutting one off the sprue. Where's the other sprue?
I gave it
to
you.
To me.
You've hidden it.
I've hidden it. I made it more difficult for myself. So this comes on 2 sprues. This is 1 sprue here, and you can see on this sprue we've got crew, as well as some other add-ons and the main hull. On this one we have extra armour bits for the hull and the tracks and everything. We also get some metal components, because these are 8th Army sort of metal components. We've got 4 different passengers. Like so, 4 different ones. And then we have 2 metal heads for the drivers. So we're still going to be using one of the plastic heads by the looks of it as well. Because there's 2, the driver and a gunner, isn't there? Mm-hmm. So, right, so there are some instructions with this. They're not very long. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move these guys out of the way and we can start having a look at the universal carriers. Okay, so a universal carrier. So here is the starting point, which is the base. We have these 2 sides. They will slot in like that. And then we need the other side to slot in like that. So we get those 2 bits glued on. Okay, so that is still drying, but we have the 2 sides on. Next, we're going to put this back piece on. This fits into there. Always good to make sure this fits before and do like a pre-fit. To make sure there's no bits that need cutting off like this bit that we've missed. There we go. But I always dry fit things, make sure they go in. So that should fit into there now. So we'll glue that on while we're waiting that. That should glue into that. Then we have this piece here, and we have this piece here. What we're going to do is we're just going to glue around that, because what we're going to put on is this bit, like so. This bit now slides into here where we have these grooves on the inside. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue into the grooves. Hold that in place. Like so. Next up we have the tracks themselves. So we have tracks there. One end has a little nodule, one end has like a hole, a hole and a nodule. So that's how you match them up. Just get that on that. Just to the other side. Like that. Okay. And that leaves us with the driver's body and the steering wheel. Don't know if they can the driver go in separately? Ah no, because it fits in there, doesn't it? Right, so we'll be using obviously the metal heads for the drivers and such like. I was just wondering if I could do it separately, paint separately and put it in, but given where it's going to go, it's probably going to get sealed in, isn't it?
It looks like it.
So that might not be possible. So what I'll do, I'll just have to man up and paint it while it's in there. Right, so I'm just going to let this dry before I go any further. So just pause the camera while it does. Okay, so the driver himself, the hands are actually already on the steering wheel. I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. So, and then this gets glued into here where those little lines are. Unless I drop it, of course. Oh man. So yeah, just sort of wedged in there. Okay, so what's next?
Next you have this little T section.
Yep.
This bit here. This bit here.
This is the front part.
Yeah, you've got a wheel. Can't make out what gun that one is. I think I'll cut off which one I think it is. Could be wrong.
That gun's the hull gun. Which is that one, I believe, doesn't have the back part on.
That one, okay.
Yeah. And that's the top gun, which goes with the mount and the full gun. So yeah, we've got this next section. So let's have a look. You said this goes on first, doesn't it? Yeah, because it sort of slides in. That should go in there, should it? No, it does. I'm not actually going to take that out again because that's gone in.
It's clicked in that, hasn't it?
And I'll be gluing the top part in anyway, so I don't think we need to glue that bit in. Like so. And then we have this front part. We've got the is there a gunner to go in as well?
Oh, the gunner?
Yeah. Just wondering if we should put him too.
Yeah, I think. I assume it's this guy. Because he doesn't really say on there, does it?
Does he look like a gunner?
Is that him?
He looks like a gunner. Yeah. It's the other guy who sat down, isn't it? Like with his really cramped sat down.
Yeah.
You're going now. Remember the front of the hull. We do need the gun though, don't we?
I think I gave you the gun.
Oh, it's there. Yes. She did. Does that fit in from the back? Like through there? Looks like it does. Yeah, it looks like it fits in the back. Obviously, that's as far as it's going to go. Which means it'll be in his lap, won't it? Yeah. So, yeah. So that needs to fit into there, basically. Okie dokes. It's not like a missing part, is there, or anything? Or he's holding on to the gun or anything like that?
Not that I can see. I couldn't see anything.
It's just, he doesn't actually show his body going in, does it? It's not like he's holding on to anything.
He's on that one, isn't he? He's on the first one there.
We missed him.
And we missed him, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that, isn't it?
It's just him.
Yeah. I'm going to glue that on then. Not do that on camera because I need to to flick that into there because of the little line and get it to marry up there. So I'm going to have to probably hold that to my face and hold it in place for a little while. So it'll be boring, just watch this for 10 minutes while I do that. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so we've put the front on. There is a gap. I'm not sure if there's meant to be a gap yet or whether it's just... There is, but that's lined up perfectly at the front. And we have a gap there and a gap there. If it looks too unsightly, what I'll do, I'll probably use some green stuff to fill it, make it look welded. But that's where we are so far. We have this extra sort of wheel bearing or whatever it is that gets stuck onto the front there. The gun actually gets stuck onto his hand. I don't know if you can see that in there. So we'll stick the wheel onto there. Then we have obviously the passengers and stuff, but we have these metal ones, which I'll probably paint separately because it'll just be a lot easier. So let me stick that on and then we'll come back and either build Mark 1 or Mark 2. Okay, so this one we're going to turn into a Mark 2. So this has some little extra armour bolt-ons. We're going to stick this onto here. And then we have one for the other side. Then we have these little latches, which presumably to hang extra armour on. That's going to go a bit further back. There's no exact place where it goes, so but it seems to be spaced out a little bit. So we're going to stick those on first, so we're back in a second. Oh, and we're also going to stick on this part onto the back there. Oh, there we go. Then that can be drying because then this goes on top of that. So we'll stick the armour plates on and this on first. Okay, so now they are on and sort of dry. I'm going to stick on the camel gear into the back. And we have these little various pieces of stuff that go in various places. I don't really want to put anything too much there. Does that show that going on the back? Good question. It's really hard to tell from this picture where it's showing that to go. These cans look like they go on the front. Let's just take one on there. And this little accoutrement, whatever this is meant to be, it looks like some sort of headlight or something. It shows that going on here, so we'll glue that on. Might leave that off and then on the other cam. Well, what I'm going to do actually is on the sprue for the guys, there's some of these shovels, so I'm going to take a couple of those shovels off. I'm actually going to stick them on here because I feel like they'd have extra shovels, especially in the desert, just in case they got stuck. So I'm going to take some little bits off here and sprinkle them around, and then we also need to add on this gun, which on this is sort of mounted. Where's the mount? There. Ah, yeah, upside down, that's why. The mount's there, it's that little bit that's stuck out at the bottom. I don't think that actually like swings in, so that's going to have to be glued on. I'll probably glue it on like that really, so it looks like it's sort of weighted down a bit and no one's using it. So we'll glue that on. I'm going to glue that on and glue some of the little bits on, and then I'll come back and show you this one finished. Okay, so there is the Mark II Universal Carrier. I've stuck on one of the metal helmets. I've used one of the spare tin helmets from the Desert Rat sprue rather than the one that came with it. And I've stuck on some shovels, the extras, stuff like that. I also built the Mark 1, just to give you an idea what that looked like, with the different sort of armour styles on it. And I also put some green stuff on to act as like welding, so like they've sort of welded the plates on. So they'll get painted, and then they'll get painted separately, and they'll go in as passengers. So that's cool. So those would count in Chain of Command Army as you could have it as a single universal carrier for 3 points, or I think you can actually have a universal carrier team, a resection of 2 carriers for 5. So you almost get like a discount for 5 points there. So you have them both for 5. They come with the junior leader and everything. So, and either a Bren gun or a anti-tank rifle, I believe. These ones have also got Bren guns because there's no anti-tank rifle on the sprue. Or I could have used one of the spare ones if I'd really wanted to from the Desert Rat sprue, but I kind of like the Bren guns, so I'll take them. Right, so let's move on to what's next. Next up, from the start set, we have the Vickers machine gun team in metal. So we have 2 parts of the Vickers there. That's a tube that goes into the coolant system, which is that little thing there on the back. And you see a little hole there, that's where the tube goes into. And that will sit on there once it comes off the metal. Those are all 3 are single piece models, so literally the tube goes on, the Vickers goes on, and then the 3 models will go on, and that will go on one of these large bases that comes with it. So that's pretty straightforward. I don't think I need to really show you how to stick that together. I have stuck one of these together before, Vickers, for the British Expeditionary Force. That's why I knew instantly what these parts were. And it does go together quite easily. And if you do lose this part, you can always use a little bit of wire, because it's only a tiny little bit, easy to lose. Just use a little bit of wire or a little bit of brass rod that you got lying around. You can replace it quite easily. So I'm going to stick this together. That's no problem at all. And we also have a 6-pounder gun. So let's have a look at that as well. One of these I haven't seen before, so we have some bits there. We have this bit here, some wheels, the gun obviously, the shield, and part of the shield, and an axle. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean all these up. I'll stick these together because they're straightforward, and I'll come back and we'll see how this goes together. Okay, just coming back quickly. I've put the 3 metal models onto the large base, mainly because this goes with bolt action, so when using it with bolt action it kind of works. In Chain of Command, a Vickers gun comes with 5 crew, not just the 3 on the base. So one of them's also a junior officer. So I have created a junior officer and another crew member. 2 of the spare bodies I had left. So that makes the whole crew there, and if they start taking wounds, I can just use a dice to show that they've lost men. But until then, I can take them from there. So I think that'll work just fine in Chain of Command as well. So now onto this. So I need to take this apart. This also has 5 crew members, and there's 3 metal ones with it. So I need to make another couple of crew members from the other plastic parts that are left as well. One of them again being an NCO. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so we've made our 2 plastic models. We also have these 2 guys who are going to go on separate bases as well. And then the rest of the cannon will go on here. So we're going to start by sticking these 2 parts together. So we have the gun and the shield. That's going to go on there. Feed it onto that. We need to make sure that stays on there until it's glued. So hold that for now. The next two parts we're going to glue together is the axle and this front, which is like a secondary. I don't know whether it's a secondary shield or anything, but it goes right at the front. It looks a bit weird, but I've double checked with the picture of it. I'm not quite sure what it is, but this bit is going to go onto there and be glued like that. There's a line on here, and I'm going to glue this underneath that line. So as that's gluing, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And really that. So fingers crossed. I'm going off the picture, so I'm hoping that's right. Let's make sure it's lined up properly. Might be a little bit out. Okay, I'm going to let that dry too. And we'll come back in a moment. Next up, I'm going to fit the wheels onto here. It seems to look like the picture as far as height from the ground, which isn't a lot. So there we go. So now need to like that. Just put it on there. Need to let that dry. The next part will be this part here, these two parts. I believe from the picture these go with that bit face down. We have two loops, and those loops are going to go over this peg here, and so we need to glue them both sort of like that. So I'm not sure which one goes on top of which. In fact, it probably goes, that's probably right, so that's probably the left one's the underneath one. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bit of glue on that. And we're going to try and push that over there, because when I was cutting them off it would bend them a little bit. So I'm hoping this bends back. Right, this is going to get messy, so I'm going to do this off the camera. But that needs to push onto there, and then the next one needs to go onto top. So I should be back in a moment. Okay guys, so we have stuck this bit together after much painfulness to bend those bits into shape, but I've got them into the right place now. Sorry about that. And then we have these two parts stuck together here, which is fine. And then when I was testing this to go on the base, whereas the base isn't actually big enough for this, so what I've done, I've had to build this base up with a bit of green stuff. So that these will sort of rest into that, and that can rest on top of that, giving the base a bit more height, width, so it just fits on. I mean, if you have a look at that, it does just fit on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let that green stuff dry fully, so that doesn't sink into it any further because it's quite heavy, before putting that on the base. So the last part of this gun, as far as the heavy construction goes, is to basically stick this onto here, and that hole there apparently fits the rest of that peg in, which it doesn't really, but I should be able to either green stuff or glue that on there. That's not a problem. Then we have some, I think these are just like holders for the shells, and some spare shells. They're just like for the base, just to go on as a bit of fanciness. So the last two parts of the gun are these two parts here. So I'll get this bit on and then I'll show you where they go. Okay, so now our gun has the front part on. We need to put in these two little MacGuffins. From the picture, it looks like one of them goes there, which is this little thing with the little nodule pointing down and attached to the gun. So it looks like that goes on like that. I'm surprised that went on so easily, especially with it being metal. So I'm going to try to hold it like that to keep it on. The next one looks like it goes on there. Again, I'm just going off the pictures online because there are no instructions for this. But I'm hoping that's right. It looks about right. I might have to go higher up, actually, because it looks straighter on the picture. Maybe like that. It either goes down there or like that. Have a look on the picture yourselves if you're a bit confused, but I think, yeah, I think that is right now. Yeah, I'm going with that. It looks good. So that is the gun completed. I do need to stick it on the base. This hasn't dried fully yet. I want this to be harder than it is. I don't want this to sink in. I need to give it the height. And I might even need to build up a little bit more. So that's the gun. We have the extra guy and the, not NCO, but junior officer, should I say. When the gun's on, this guy will be the actual firer of the gun. I'll put him on so he's probably about there, looking into the gubbins. These are just scatter objects. I might put them on these guys, see how I feel. But other than that, that's the 6-pounder ready to go. So that leaves the last thing from this set. It definitely won't fit on you probably. Which is the 25-pound gun. Which I'm going to use as a 17-pound gun, probably, because the rules for that are in chain of command. But if I was going to use it as a 25-pound, I could always use it as an objective as well. So let's see, we have this thing and this thing, and a massive body for this thing, and this thing, which I think is what it sits on. So it might go on the base actually if it sits on that. And then we have 3 crew, which again there should be 5. Fortunately I still have some spare plastic bodies, so I should have enough to fill this out. And we have that little bit there as well. So I'm going to take a good look at this, see how it goes together, and clip off all these little bits of, I think that bit's just a piece of crap actually. Clip off all the other little bits of rubbish, so then we can have a good look how to put this together. Okay guys, so at this point on examination this part is warped a little. I don't know whether it's a miscast or what's happened. This metal was bent right over. It's very, very thin here, and it's even through there's like a hole in it. It's not a good cast, but it's not the worst cast I've ever seen. Having sort of dry fitted this together, I think I can pretty much build it anyway. The parts that look the worst are going to be the most hidden, and I don't think there's anything structurally wrong with it. So I'm going to go ahead and try and put this together. If anyone wasn't happy with this, I'm pretty sure Warlord would replace it. Having had issues with casting in the past and them just replacing them, I'm pretty sure if you ever had a problem with this, you just contact them, send them a picture, and they'll send you the replacement part out. I'm pretty sure that it's minor-ish on this, and I'm pretty sure it'll still go together, I hope. So we'll see how it goes. My main worry is getting this plate on. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to... Let's maybe get the cannon on first and make sure that goes on. Yeah. That still tilts up and down. That's good. It won't do when it's glued in. It wouldn't do anyway, but I'm trying to make sure that that moves. So I am going to glue this in. The other thing I want to do is glue this axle on the bottom. And there are little places for that to go, little indentations there. One side of this axle's flat because it goes on underneath that, and the other side isn't because it's poking out. So I'm going to get those two bits glued on. That actually covers that hole as well, so I think we're going to be okay. Famous last words. So we'll get that on there. Please stay. And yeah, I'm going to let it dry. But what I'll do before I come back, I'll glue the gun in place. Actually, I might stay on there. Let's try it. It can only fall off. Get these two bits on. Good. As long as that's about there. There should be a little bit of play in the gun going up and down. If I put the shield on, I mean, you would hope. I'm going to go with that for now. Normally what I would have done, if everything was fine, I'd have put the shield on first, because it looks like the gun would just slip in. Because of the way the shield is, I'm not sure how much this is going to affect it, so I wanted to make sure the gun was in right first. So you've got a nice cast on it. I'd have put the shield on first at that point and left that to dry for a nice long time. In the meantime, I will put these guys on bases. I only have one base left from the set, besides the other one though. God, there you go. So I've got two bases left from the set. So I'm going to glue these two on. I don't know where he's going yet because he doesn't have any base. I'm going to quick look at the picture, see if he goes on the base with this. But I do need another two plastic guys to go with this. So I'm going to have to break into my spare bases as well at this point. So I'm now moving beyond what you get in the starter set. I have a little bit anyway, but obviously moving beyond what you can get in the starter set. All these are additionals. You can make from the starter set pretty much everything that you need for the core, chain of command, sections and platoon, everything. So everything else now is just icing anyway. So I will be back in a moment once that's dried and once I've got these guys on some bases. Okay guys, so we have that on there. Next thing I'm going to do is put this on here. What I'm going to try and do is glue those two tabs on the bottom, get some glue in between there and there as well, and make sure this goes on properly. If that works, I will then put the wheels on. One goes on that side, one goes on the other. And when we come back, those two wheels and that job will be glued on. Fingers crossed, guys. Okay guys, so this is where we're at. What we're going to do is put this little part on. This bit here. This appears to go on the pictures. So we're going to glue that in place. The gun actually sits on this, and we're going to glue the gun in place so that the centre of the axis is over the centre of that. The idea is obviously you can turn it. I mean, you can't in real life, obviously, because it would be glued down. But in real life, where this is a real thing, that's what it would be used for. Right, so we're going to glue that in place, and then once that's on, this guy actually sits sort of on the wheel, like that. So we're going to glue him on in place as well, because he completely covers all the problems with that cast that are there. So that's great. So I'm going to glue those bits together, and once they're together they will not fit on this base. I'll show you. it overlaps. So I need a bigger base for that really. It overlaps a lot more than the other one did. So yeah. So I'm going to have a look, see if I do have a base, or if I don't, I'm going to have to find or make or forge one from some spare UPVC or something. So we should find out. But for now, we'll stick this guy together and then I'll come back. Okay, so there is our finished 25-pound gun. And crew. And next crew. There we go. So the last thing we're going to do today is the A12 Matilda 2 tank. This is the last of my models. I've been waiting for the 8th Army. Oh, the Matilda isn't specifically 8th Army box set. It obviously has a desert on the front. I think she's known as the Queen of the Desert, this tank. So I think it's quite apt. I did actually originally get this from my British Expeditionary Force, but I never built it. So now it's going to be part of the 8th Army instead. I might get another one for that. So let's get this unboxed. Markers there, we have the instructions, we have the card, and we have a bunch of transfers as well. That's cool. Screws, which are in a little plastic bag. Quite handy plastic bag that actually. We have the screws, there's 3 of them. We have this sprue, which is just an A12 Matilda infantry tank C sprue. We have this sprue, which is almost like the main hull. And also I got all the track business on this one. We have instructions. Yep, so let's have a look. Up until the 2 Western Desert, I think that's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and have a quick look at these just to make sure it is, and we shall make a start. Okay guys, so there's an interesting level of detail right at the beginning on this. So if we have a look on this sprue, there's actually 2 sets of tracks. There's ones that come with these separate tracks, a bit like in Game of Imperial Lehman Ross or Chimera. And we have these fully solid tracks as well. So these tracks, which are in bits, that's track option A and B, and that appears to be for use in the earlier parts of the war in the British Expeditionary Force, where the tracks were actually lowered, but in the Western Desert, which is what we're using, the suspension was increased, so the tracks were actually slightly higher than they actually would be on this one, which is a weird bit of interesting detail and a lot of effort to go to for that detail, but cool nonetheless. So what we need to start with is actually step C, because we're going for the Western Desert here. And it's actually these 2 tracks which are completely built, which is also quite nice. And part 1, which is here. So if we just go back a stage. Right, okay. There we go. We want part 1, which is this bit. And we want parts 5 and 4, which are those tracks. So I'm going to get those bits off and we can get that bit stuck together. Okay, so part 1, and then we have, I believe that's part 5 and part 4 with the little notch to the front. So we should glue those bits on. Strength, there as well. And then we have those squares that goes into, on that. And then the other side. I don't think that bit connects either. I may as well just put a glue on the squares. And then we have part 12, which is the upper part of the hole, and that should fit on there. So let's dry fit it. Seems to go on well. Yep. So we want to put some glue on those points of contact. There's a big piece. So. And because it overlaps, I'll put a little bit of glue on there as well. Right, okay. If you have an elastic band, I always think with tanks, it's a good idea to put an elastic band around the tank. This one goes together pretty well. Probably doesn't need one, to be honest. If everything feels pretty secure, I wouldn't bother. Yeah, that's good. But if it feels a bit looser at all, if you get an elastic band, put it around. I do this with like Games Workshop tanks. It really helps with those ones. And it keeps it together as like the glue set, so it doesn't start to pull itself apart. But that feels pretty good actually, pretty solid. Okay, so now we can move on to the next stage, which is to build the turret. So we have lots of parts for this. Bear in mind that the sprues themselves again aren't actually numbered. So you do need you can refer to the numbers on this as more from an appearance than an actual number on here. There is nothing on that sprue, no. So we want basically all these parts. So we'll get all these off and then we're ready to stick together. We'll also take off these bits, but I need to try and keep them in this order so I know what's what. So we're back in a moment. Okay, so what we have here is we have part 13, there, 16, 17, 24, 31, 25, and we also have parts 21, 20 and 19 and 26, which are all parts of the turret. So we're going to start by putting this bit inside of here, I believe. I've got that bit wrong. Have a look at this. Ah, there it is. I thought it was in there. It goes in there. So we can actually, I was gonna, the reason I didn't do this bit first is because I thought I had to get that in there. Don't need to, so I can just glue this bit straight on. Great. So let's get the bottom part glued on. So glue part 13 on, and then I'll be back in a second because I want to make sure I don't get any glue around that bit. Okay, so we've glued that bit on. We have a non-glued bit in there, and we have this bit here. It has to be that way around to do it right. And we want to attach this to here, but without gluing this so it moves up and down. I'm going to try. If it fails, no biggie. Put that on there. Give that a chance to moves. Okay, so I need to now wait until this is completely dry so it doesn't fall off, because there's a few less points of contact than I would normally use for the glue. So it needs to dry. So we're back in a moment. Okay, so that's stuck on now, and I've also stuck on the two guns. These go in the holes for the right size. That's pretty straightforward. We have the top part of the turret, that bit goes onto there. Again, there are two versions of this, the BF one and the other one won't fit on, so if you have taken the wrong one off by mistake, it wouldn't fit in there anyway. That goes on there. And that's all come out now, so that's fine, I can sit there. If it falls out, I'll put some glue on it. And then we have this bit here, which is the next part of the turret, so I'll have to put some glue on this bit. And that has a little notch cut out to line that up with, so there we go, it is in. Then we have the two hatches, and if you want your driver, you have to cut this hatch in half. If you want your driver stuck out. I'm good with just a tank on this one. Hatch goes on that, and then we have the other hatch. Of course, it's got like a little latch on the back there, which fits into the like so. So that is the first stage of the turret. Now we have to put all the MacGuffin on the turret. And by MacGuffin, I mean all these little bits. So 40, 42, 28, 44, 27, 33, 45 and 32. Just like previously, we're going to turn this back over and find out which ones of those they are. So I'm going to take all those off and then we can start putting those on. Okay, so we have the turret section. These are all the MacGuffin pieces. I can see from the picture this first one looks a bit like a smoke launcher or something. That goes here. So I start putting them on. I don't see any like markers actually on the turret as to exactly where they go, so it's probably not an exact science. But so get some glue. Okay. Then we've got like some sort of canister. I really hard to tell if that was the right way or not. And then we have this bit, which I can make out from the picture is that rounded part goes up. this little hook thing. Seems to be on there. And the next thing seems to be up there. I suppose you could probably put these wherever you wanted. From that image, it kind of looks like it should go that way around. She does, yeah, is that one stuck now? Yeah, should go like that. And then we have this bit, which is kind of bolted on. Okay, so if we put that on there. And then we have another one of these little things. It's exactly the same as the others, I think. So I'll get that on there. Try to feel which side of it is curved. The curved side is the part that goes against the. That just leaves this bit, which is basically a headlight. It's the only part I can really. Oh, I just dropped it. Nuts altogether. Okay, so thankfully I found it, and I have stuck that on there. And that seems to be all the turret pieces. Next up we have. The whole to finalise. So we need 37.1, 46 and 29. We also need 36, 51, 43 and 50, so I'll get those parts. Okay, so I'm going to look at the parts, etc. that it's asking me to cut off and put on. When you look at the picture on the back of actually a Matilda, you can see it's got these headlights. It's got two of them, not just one. So all these little extras, they are pretty much optional by the looks of it. So you can put on pretty much what you want from a lot of these. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the headlights on. I'm going to put one on either side though. Just for lighting symmetry. And they seem to go in these little sockets down here. So look at that. Yeah. So like that. Then you can put in these little clamps in those other holes if you want. You can add some of the extra track pieces on that you haven't used. And we'll put a full piece on there because it always looks nice to have some random accoutrements like that. And I'll put one of these little clamps in. And there's another one of these on the sprue as well, so I'll put them both on. Really use a pair of tweezers for this, but so we'll put that on the front. This is actually the driver's hatch, so if you're not having the driver with his head stuck out, you can put this on. Possible is the wrong way around. Yeah, closing better that way around. Okay. Okay. I'm not entirely sure where that's meant to go. Oh, there we go. On the picture it's just got it. There is two of these as well, so these are just like extra random bits. So we should put that on. And the part you probably do have to put on is this engine part. So we have this big piece here. And that seems to go with that bit pointing up, but that way around. And we have this line here. And the bottom of this as well. And that seems to go in that. And then we have part 43 and 50. Oops. That seems to go in there. And that seems to go in there. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Right, and then the next parts we need are these. So that's like another can. That's probably optional. But these parts seem to make up like the engine part. So we need 55, 48, 47 and 52. Okay, so we have this weird canister thing that goes on the back. Probably a fuel tank. That consists of actually 4 pieces, not 3 like it suggests. Because there's these 2 end pieces. One is left and one is right. Marked with an R and an L. They go on the ends of that, and then this will attach into that little groove underneath, and it should marry up with the 2 pipes that we've just put on. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these together and this together, because it looks pretty straightforward. If there's any issues I'll come back before I finish it. Other than that, I'll see you when the tank's done. And there we have the finished Matilda tank, still drying. Cool. And so, worth 5 points again, like a lot of other things are. So this is worth 5 points. The 2 universal carriers were worth 5 points. I was having a little look at the Mortar Crew. Basically, they just don't really act on the table. This is just a template for them. But you could easily just have a forward observer to act for them. You don't actually even need the Mortar Crew on the table. And again, actually suggests that you use like a forward observer here, like Mr. Lee here. So I could use that as my Mortar Crew, because he has a forward observer in the game. And just save this for bolt action, or I could just use this as a template to show where they're firing from. Either way. So, looking pretty good. I did source a Games Workshop base, as nasty as it is exactly the right size for this cannon, so I believe I'd be silly not to use that. Other than that, we are pretty much done. That is the army finished. That is my 8th army miniatures all done. There's a lot of them, so now I need to paint them. But I'll probably end up actually using them in a game, because I really want to play the rules for Chain of Command. However, in order to do that, I need someone for them to fight against. So in the next video, I will be unboxing the Africa Corps to go along, to face against the 8th Army. So stay tuned for that. I've got the starter set again, and a few other little bits and pieces just like this to put together. But one final miniature I wouldn't mind showing you is this one. It's not part of this army, but it is one I got from Warlord. and I haven't had a look at it yet. It was the NHS tribute figure, as you probably saw that from the front of it, of a certain captain or colonel, I think he is now. And it's a very cool model actually of him stood there with his brew, looking like he's going to tell someone off, or he's getting down to going to the point of the conversation. It's a very cool model, and I'll probably end up using him probably in another army. Not obviously not in this army, but there is also a tank commander variant as well. So I'll probably end up getting a league tank or something like that. So there we go. And that was the last model I want to show you, but I'm going to put it back in its box and it can stay there until I find a suitable army to put that in. That's pretty cool. But there we go. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, helps out loads, and stay tuned for the Afro Corps. I'll also be doing a video on Sharp Practice and another one eventually on Infamy, because I want to cover all those products because I'm enjoying building models for them and painting and playing the games, because I've actually played those two. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to see anything else in the comments, if you want to see me do a quick paint scheme for these guys, because I've still not decided how I'm going to paint them yet. I'll probably use Valia paint. So I thought it was better to end this video showing you the whole force together, so you can get a better idea for it. Plus I found in Chain of Command, when you're putting forces together, it was a bit awkward how it's actually sat out. It was for me anyway. From this, I found it really hard to figure out what I was really looking at in terms of models. I was like trying to figure out, does that mean it's 1 or 3 or 1, 2 and 3, or what does it actually mean, how many models I'm actually using? Online you can find these that people have turned into like little trays, which is cool, but you can also just print them off on a bit of paper and set them out like this. It's kind of handy to have next to you when you're playing the game, because it gives you an idea of what units you've got and what you need to roll to bring them onto the table. As in Chain of Command, like the other Fat Laddie games that I've played so far, you don't start with things on the table, you bring them on. It's a really cool mechanic, but it can be very confusing at first as to what comes on. So to help, I've got this little cheat sheet, if you will. So on the cheat sheet we have the basic platoon, and this is the British in North Africa 1940 to 41, which we've been building so far. Platoon. It's a -1 point force, so you've got some room there when you're actually getting more models to come into the game. And here we have the lieutenant, sergeant, we have our mortar team, we have a boys AT rifle team, we have section 1, which is the corporal, LMG team and rifle team. So hopefully from that you can see how I was trying to set it out earlier in the video, but I thought it would be better just to show you. So the other things that we've put together in this video, I've lined up at the top. So starting at the top, we have a medical orderly. That guy there, right from the beginning of the video. He is 1 point if you want to add it into your force. I've also got an adjutant. Sorry. I've put that there for our Mr. Lee. So you could be that, or he could be a forward officer. Well, there's a few things you'd actually use him as. Quite like to use him actually as a lieutenant in the headquarters, actually be in the battlefield. So I might switch him around, might not, but he's always there as an option. Next up, I actually had enough models left, 2, one on the ground, 1 crouching, from all those that we started with, to actually make a second boys rifle team for 2 points. Next up, I've put one of the universal carriers there, because you can take 1 universal carrier on its own, and that would be 3 points. Obviously it's also at the end. That's because you can take them together for 5 points. So you're saving a point by taking 2 basically. But if you've only got 3 points to spend and you want to spend it on the universal carrier, there you go. That one comes with a Bren. You've got the option of taking a boys rifle, and you could convert it off the sprues as well and have the driver having that. Sorry, the gunner. but I've gone with brown. Next up, for 4 points, we have a forward officer and 3-inch mortar battery. So here we have the 3-inch mortar battery, and that is the radio operator model. I think it was really cool. You can also make a really good forward observer. So you can use either of those, or both of those, depending on the points you've got. Next up is a regular Vickers MMG team with a junior leader. Also coming in at the 4 points. Then at 5 points we have the A12 Matilda Tank, just going off the top right corner of the camera there. Sorry, creaky forward. Just there. So that's coming in at 5 points. The other universal carrier there, just to remind me to say that if you put them together, they're 5 points. That is everything from the North Africa 1940 to 41 list. But we also have here a 6-pounder anti-tank gun, which is in the main rules, is in this book, coming in at 5 points as well, and the rules for it are in the book as well. And then, so I can quite happily take that in this armoury as well. I think the idea behind this army list was it to be mobile, and when you've got artillery, you're not really mobile, because you have to stop and fire, even if you can hook it up to something that is mobile. So that leaves the 25-pound gorilla in the room, the 25-pound gun, which is that one. So again, it's not in the North Africa army list. There are rules. There's for 6 points, so you can take a 17-pounder. It could pass as one of those, but there are no points costs for it in the book. However, strangely, there are rules. So just that, which is the 25-pounder. When you look at, that's the 17-pounder above it. When you look at the points that it can take off, 12 AP and 5 HE, and then the 25-pounders 8 and 7, I reckon it'd be worth the same points because it's a slightly different kind of gun. So I'd be safe to say using that in my game as another 6-pointer, or just using it as an objective, like some large artillery probably would be. So there we go. So from my little pile of 8th Army stuff, that is what we've got. I think that's quite a cool collection to start off with. Probably like to fill some more of the 3 points. Probably, hopefully in the future, maybe get a Morris S9 armoured car or something like that, just to fill in the 3 pointers. And yeah, there we go. So, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. In the next video, we're going to be exploring building the Africa Corps. So stay tuned for that. We'll put all the boxes of that I've got together, which is quite a few, and then we'll set them out like this and see what I've actually got. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you later, guys.